I'm Denis Kirwan, and joining me to look ahead to one of the key meetings of the National Hunt season, our Grand National winning jockey Robbie Power, who will have some top rides over the 4 days of the festival. Davy Russel, one of Ireland's top jockeys and HRI's National Hunt Racing Ambassador. Dave Keena, racing journalist with the Irish Field, is with us in studio, as is Kieran Conroy, commercial manager with Leopardstown, and Don McLean, Sunday Times racing correspondent and Racing Post columnist. And Don, if we could start with yourself. This meeting, of course, one of the great Christmas traditions, Don, and a chance to meet up with friends and get some fresh air into the lungs after the excesses of the Christmas.
Sure, look, it's a great meeting, Denis. You know, it's what National Hunt Racing is all about. Normally, hopefully, the weather is kind and the big horses show up because they're all on track. And as you say, it's a tradition that people, especially on the first day on St Stephen's Day, people go up and meet up with lads that are in America or in Australia or in London and back home for the Christmas. And then, like, the horses that are lining up to run, like the likes of Big Zeb and Hurricane Fly and Keith Della Rock, they're some of the top National Hunt horses that we have in training in Ireland, and hopefully a few English horses en route as well. So I know it should be 4 days now of fantastic National Hunt racing.
There's no doubt. Davy, the Racing Post are the new sponsors of the Stephen's Day meeting, and the feature race on day one is the Grade 1 Racing Post Novice Steeplechase. And again, Gigginstown have a big hand in this race, and you have a difficult choice possibly between Bog Warrior and Sur Deschamps. Both horses are exciting prospects. But Sur Deschamps, Davy, certainly looked like a potential Gold Cup horse in the making.
Yeah, to be honest, no, I suppose he didn't have a whole load of horses at that level to against him the last day, but for me, I was very impressed with him, and no doubt he's a horse for the future, yeah.
And of course, Bog Warrior, as you say, Ruby rode him to victory the last day. You rode first lieutenant in the race, but he again was very impressive. He put in a really good round of jumping. Yeah,
I always give Ruby a Christmas present around that time of the year. Every year it was nice. Yeah, he's a lovely horse, and look, again, of course, we always felt that he had a lot of ability, and he proved it the last day, like, you know, and even again at the back of the last one, Ruby did give him a squeeze up. He still had plenty left in the tank, so be very much looking forward to getting back on him.
Dave, there really is an embarrassment of riches at present in the novice chasing division.
I suppose, Denis, it was kind of half inevitable that Bog Warrior and Sur Deschamps, that they would drop back to 2 miles, having won over further. It's a big ask for novices at this stage of the year to compete over 3 miles when you're going to aim them at the spring festivals at Cheltenham and Aintree and Punchestown, hopefully. But to me, they're the two against the field. Sur Deschamps, he was so quick and snappy over his fences at Fairyhouse for a horse having his first run over fences, and he's very lightly raced. I think he's only had 5 runs in his life, but he's a horse of immense potential, and I think over the trip, I think maybe him against Bog Warrior, but the two of them, I just wouldn't like to be in Davy's shoes trying to make a call between these two, because he could, you know, I wouldn't say there's a huge amount between them. Possibly the two of them will want further in time, but I just think their class will get them through. And if Leopardstown is going to be testing on St Stephen's Day, to me, Sur Deschamps might just pip Bog Warrior.
Kieran, there's some fantastic horses in action at Leopardstown over the Christmas, but there really is something for everybody at the festival.
Yes, indeed, and it's I suppose it's a great start for us that even before we start the festival, we have a full card of sponsors this year. It's obviously challenging enough economic times, but there's life out there. Each of our 28 races across the 4 days are sponsored, so we're welcoming some new sponsors to our very loyal sponsors that have been there for a number of years. And this year we've a new initiative, which is the Festival Enclosure Marquee, where hopefully we'll have some fun and crack over the 4 days, an opportunity to meet old friends, new friends, and hopefully get some tips, an opportunity to pick a few winners in advance of the races.
Day 2 is sponsored by Paddy Power the entire day. Robbie, you are likely to ride Big Zeb in the Paddy Power Dial-A-Bet Steeplechase. This is a cracking race, some great winners in the past like Moscow Flyer. Big Zeb has won it twice out of the last 3 years, so he's gone for 3 out of 4. No pressure.
No, none at all. Hopefully for me, Barry told me today he's going to be in Kempton over Christmas, so I'll step in again. Was very good in Navan, and he did very well his first run of the season. I'm looking forward to him. It's going to be no walk in the park though. Gold and silver, won the Hillyweight Chase last week, won the race before, Noble Prince for Paddy the Plaster. It's a very, very good race. I'll take plenty of winning.
Okay, we move on to the paddypower.com Future Champions Novice Hurdle, and indeed this has produced many future champions, the likes of Hurricane Fly and Solarina. Davy, you won this race last year on First Lieutenant, but this year Willie Mullins looks to hold the key with Sula Sue, who was seriously impressive in the Royal Bond.
Yeah, for sure. Like Firstly, Denis was great last year to get him back to winning ways, but I think there was only 4 runners in it last year, and this year, just as the boy said, tis phenomenal the quality we have in this country. Like it's a horse in that I like is Edward O'Grady's horse, Cash and Goal. He's maybe a little bit unexposed yet, but as you said, Sula looks to be the horse. Galileo's Choice, I'm sure if the ground is a bit drier, it'll help him. But it's a wonderful race, yeah.
Just moving on to the Paddy Power Chase. It's the richest handicap steeplechase in Europe.
It's a nice easy one for me. Thanks,
easy
Denis.
one for you, exactly.
Barry told me today he's going to be in Kempton over Christmas, so I'll step in again. Was very good in Navan, and he did very well his first run of the season. I'm looking forward to him. It's going to be no walk in the park though. Gold and Silver won the Hillyweight Chase last week, won the race before. Noble Prince for Paddy the Plaster. It's a very, very good race. I'll take plenty of winning.
Okay, we move on to the paddypower.com Future Champions Novice Hurdle, and indeed this has produced many future champions, the likes of Hurricane Fly and Solarina. Davy, you won this race last year on First Lieutenant, but this year Willie Mullins looks to hold the key with Sula Sue, who was seriously impressive in the Royal Bond.
Yeah, for sure. Like First Lieutenant was great last year to get him back to winning ways, but I think there was only 4 runners in it last year, and this year, just as the boy said, tis phenomenal the quality we have in this country. Like it's a horse in that I like is Edward O'Grady's horse, Cash and Goal. He's maybe a little bit unexposed yet, but as you said, Sula looks to be the horse. Galileo's Choice, I'm sure if the ground is a bit drier, it'll help him. But it's a wonderful race, yeah.
Just moving on to the Paddy Power Chase. It's the richest handicap steeplechase in Europe.
It's a nice easy one for me. Thanks, Denis.
It's a nice easy one for you, exactly. I don't think we've had a winner of this less than 10-1 in the last 6 years, so never an easy one to pick the winner of. Is there anything that stands out for you?
It'll be, I mean, it's a race to get stuck into. It's a race to spend hours going over. I suppose initially Grudy Hill is interesting. I thought, he won the Troytown really well. He looked booked for 3rd place jumping the last, and he just stayed on very well. He's only a 5-year-old. I mean, I don't know if a 5-year-old has ever won the Troytown before that.
He's an £8 penalty for that time.
He's up £8 for that. But if Eddie Dame runs the horse that he beat in the Troytown, he's only going to carry 10 Sun 11, which is more than manageable. And he proved that day that he stays, and that was his 3rd win on the bounce, so he's probably going to progress again. It's hard for a 5-year-old and to keep on doing it, but he just looks like a nice horse that could be even better than a handicapper. And Eddie Dame, he had the race in the bag when he went to the front that day. I think those two could run very well.
Dave, is there anything there that catches your eye from the original entries?
I think this race might just suit Montan. He's had 2 runs over hurdles, and he probably should have won in Down Royal if he probably put it in, and maybe in Fairyhouse again. You just question his resolution, I suppose.
It'll be a brave man. It'll be a brave man that'll put his hard-earned cash on Montan. But
I think the race might just be run to suit him. I think you could drop him out and he could arrive there at the last without knowing he's been put into the race at all. I think he's going to be
from the back of the last in Leopardstown.
It is, but as you well know, because you won the race a couple of years ago. But I just think he's probably going to be a shade quicker than most of these. And to me, the race might just fall in his lap. Another horse that I'm a fan of is the Bishop Looney, because he's terribly honest, tries hard. He won in Galway and he won the Cork National over 3.5 miles. Staying is the name of the game for him. And again, with 10-10 in his back, he'd be a player. But to me, probably those 4 against the field. And if I was pushed to push one, maybe the Bishop Looney on the base that he's just a little bit more tougher and resolute than Montan.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Robbie, as Dave said, you won this on Oscar Time a couple of years ago, who turned out to be a good horse, finished 2nd in the National as well. What would you like to be on this occasion?
If I had a free hand, I think a bit like the English National with the Paddy Power horse below 11 stone is something you're looking towards. Grudy Hill with the £8 penalty is going to struggle, I think. Davy probably ride Ravage Door. He'd have a big squeak. Another horse in the race that 2 horses very good hurdlers, Sweeps Hill and Donna's Palm. 2 horses that were high class novice hurdlers, were decent novice chasers, a bit like Oscar Time was. They were good novice chasers without being top class, and they just might be well handicapped. I think it's an improving novice from last season. Is your best chance to have a few pound up your sleeve to win the Paddy Power.
Davy, briefly, what would you like to be on?
Yeah, sure, Jiz. Again, I have a choice in this with Tarawat, who's been very good to us, and again Ravage Door. But look, to be honest, I think Dave is after stealing the limelight with the Bishop Looney. Staying horse won the 3 mile novice in Cork over hurdles, I think, and Then he won in Galway over 2 miles over fences, or 2.5. 2.5. Yeah, and I'd say the only problem, he does be a little bit careful with his jumping but in his last couple of starts he hasn't, so he seems to be getting over that. If his jumping doesn't inconvenience him for the first maybe 3 or 4 fences, I think he's definitely horses on the right side of handicapper, and definitely one that people could maybe have a few quid each way on. As we said, is you would be looking for value, and don't be afraid to back a horse maybe a 33-1 in this race. If you have if people do stick a pin in it.
And that's the end of part 1 of our preview of the Leopardstown Christmas Racing Festival.